Hello and welcome. In this video we are going to create a player. While doing this we will have to learn about methods, vectors, casting, how much each data type takes of data, using nodes and navigating in the scene. So I hope you're ready to begin learning. So let's start off with creating the player. Let's create a new scene, so click on this plus sign over here. Now click on the plus button and search for 2D node. And here it is. Click create. Now let's rename it, so click on F2 and call it player. Now we will have to create a sprite, so create a sprite 2D node. So this node will contain the sprite or image of the player. So let's start off with creating the player. Let's create a new scene, so click on this plus sign over here. Now click on the plus button and search for 2D node. And here it is. Click create. Now let's rename it, so click on F2 and call it player. Now we will have to create a sprite, so create a sprite 2D node. So this node will contain the sprite or image of the player. Let's also have some animations to the player, so let's click on the plus sign again and click on animation player. And now if we just use the icon down here and put into the texture field, you can see the player. Let's save the scene, so click on Ctrl S and call it player. We will probably also need to save the scenes in a scene folder, so create a new folder and call it scenes. And save the scene. Now, what we will have to create is a script, so let's click on this and pick this type, and it's inherit from node 2D, so that's alright. And the template is a node default. Let's call it player and let's put it into a folder called scripts. And click on open and create. Now we have the script here, and let's go in and learn about some vectors. As you can see here, there is a coordinate system, also called a Cartesian coordinate system. And the vector is a arrow with a length and a direction, as you can see here. It has a length, and this is like the length, and the direction is where it's pointing in this kind of unit circle that has a length of a unit, also 1. So a unit in here is 1. So this position vector goes from 0, 0 to 1, 2. So this vector can get called this 1, 2. Now what we are going to do with vectors is that we are going to move a player like if he is here and we go up or press on W, we have to go up here. So this will have a vector of 0.1 like that. Or if it's D, the vector will be 1.0. If it's A, it will be minus 1.0, or S, it will be 0. Minus 1. Why do we need this? We need this to make different logic things about this. For example, if I press W, then D, then S, and then A. The vector will start off with, for example, if this is 0, 0, it will go into 0, 1, then it will go over to 1, 1, then it will go over to 1, 0, and finally it will reach the same position as before, 0, 0. Now we can simply just plus two vectors together. For example, a is equal to 1.1 like that, and b is equal to 2.1 like that. Now a plus b is equal to a dot x. Also the first element is called x and the second is called y. So a dot x plus b dot x, comma a dot y plus b dot y. And as we can see here, that is equal to 1 plus 2, 1 plus 1, which is equal to 3.2 like that. So, if you can imagine, you have a player moving around. Every single time they press on these buttons, it just moves to the left, right, top, and down like that. Now let's go in and look at the different kind of vectors there are and the different kind of operations we can do to them. For example, there is the position vector, also known as a point. Now let's see a unit vector. A unit vector is known for the head of it, like this, and it is equal to a vector that has a magnitude or length of 1. So that will mean if we have a circle here, it is somewhere in this unit circle, because a unit circle is this, it has a radius of 1. So for example 0, 1, that lays on the unit circle and it's over here. So let's now look at some operations. Let's first look at how to minus, because we've already looked at how to plus it. So we had minus a, and let's define a as 2, 1. So that's equal to minus 2 minus 1. So that will mean it's actually also equal to a dot x or v dot x minus a dot x and b dot y minus a dot y. Now let's look at how to find its length so that we can make it into a unit vector. So this is equal to 2, 1, because it's the x and it's the y. So this over here is equal to the square root of 2 to the power of 2 plus 1 to the power of 2, which is equal to 4 plus 1, which is equal to square root 5. And that's how to find the length of it. Now the way we denote this is by saying a is equal to square root 5. Now how we find the unit vector of a, that's just by saying a hat is equal to a times 1 divided by square root 5. And the way you times it by constant is just a times c, for example, is equal to a dot x times c and a dot y times c. So that's how to find these things that we might need later on. Now let's go in and create the player. We will need some input actions to could read the values when we press on W, A, S, and D. So let's go in project settings, input map, and let's give a name to W, and let's give the value of W and D and so on. So I will see you when you're done. So now we will need to go into the player And let's create a method for um, moving the player. So the way we create a method is to say private, because we will need an accessor, and private is where it's only the class that can read this, and we only need the class to be able to move the player. So that's why we put it to private. Now we don't want to return anything, so void. Now what is the name of the method? It is move player, and these parentheses, and then do we need any parameters to put in here? No, we don't. So just curly braces, and we have created a method for moving the player. Now, what do we need to do in here? Well, we will need to move the player. So if it's W, we will need to move it up. If it's S, it's down. If it's D, it's right. And if it's A, it's left. So let's create a new vector 2 movement direction is equal to vector 2 0 to give it an initial value of 0 if input that is action pressed, but action over input it is W here. If input that is action pressed, let's say D, and if input that is action pressed is S, and if input that is action pressed is A. So you can do this if you want to, but just so you know, W is the opposite of what you might think. So here I will just show you what W is, because we have to assign either X or Y, so movement direction.y is equal to -1. And here it's the opposite of that, of course, because it's up down. So go ahead and do that alone if you want to. Else we are going to do that now. So if it's D, it's movement direction dot X is equal to 1. If it's S, it's equal to movement direction dot Y is equal to 1. And A is equal to movement direction dot X is equal to -1. So how do we get the position of the player? We simply have a variable called position. So what do we do with it? We plus it with what vector we got out here, and remember to normalize that vector. So movement direction dot normalized, to normalize it, that's the value of it here. So as you can see here, I've already created a parameter called delta, because now we can also times it with delta. But we have to convert this into float. So as you may have seen, sometimes we have had to convert it into another data type, or why do we need to do this? We have like the decimal numbers, which is float and double. We have the int, uint, and long, and ulong, which is whole numbers, and we have string and char, which is text, and we have a boolean. We can convert between decimal numbers, and we can convert between integer numbers. We have to, like, if it's double here with a much bigger value than 4, then we have to convert double into a float, or double into int. And uint and long, like you can see, like if it's 8 here, if we want to go into uint, we have to call this, and if it's event into long, we can just say this long a is equal to whatever event variable that we have. So now that we've seen this, we may be able to understand this a little bit better. So let's test it out. As you can see, it's not working, and that is because we have not called it anywhere. So let's call move player and give it a delta value. And also we have an exported field up here, which is private float move speed. We can also times that onto it to make it faster and slower. So now let's try it out again. As you can see here, it's working, but we will have to put up the speed a lot higher. So let's say 20. Actually, let's say 40. Or 100. And now you can just test around with it until you get the value that you feel is great for the player. Let me just put it up to 1000 so that we can see it moving fast. So you can do this with an inbuilt input method which is called getVector. So let's use that. So go into the script again and remove this by pressing Ctrl X. Now let's say this is equal to input that getVector. Let's say A, D, W, and S. And now it should be working again after you have saved. As you can see here, it is working. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you have enjoyed watching the video. If you have any questions or need help with anything, please let me know. I would appreciate a thumbs up if you have liked the video, and please subscribe if you want to see more about how to create games. I will see you in the next video.